Welcome to the Twisted Pint Tavern. Today we're visiting r/DnD to answer D&D players of Reddit, what is your most creative combat or encounter? If you've played in or designed a super cool combat or encounter, then go into the comments after watching the video and let me know what it was. The best ones will be featured in part 2 of this video later on. And now, onto the video. A cave over a chasm. No flyers in the party and surprisingly no fly spell handy as well. There were rope bridges between 4 large stalagmites/stalactites. Always get the two mixed up, but it's the ones that hang from the ceiling. At each of the major 4 there was a town portion. One was an inn and a general store. Next was the crafter's corner with your blacksmiths and whatnot. There was a hydroponics farm location, and the last one was a garrison. These things were huge, hanging from the ceiling, carved into the stone. Story was that the people just disappeared. Wasn't the case, as there was a living crystal down in the chasm that had captured them all into a pocket dimension. Think magic mirror that captures people. They had cave gliders as well as a bungee cord sort of system set up to reach the bottom. Once freed, we stayed for a bit to help them return to normal. Fun little side quest area and honestly very memorable from a design idea. I like the idea of like a cave city, but on the ceiling of the cave. Like that seems really cool to me. I always think of it on the floor, but the ceiling's awesome. I had an encounter where my players had to fight a Minotaur Mummy enclosed in an iron sarcophagus. The sarcophagus was immune to any damage, but it could be opened by releasing the chains on which it was hanging one by one. In the meantime, the mummy created sand elementals every round and could still cast spells and do its fear ability through a small slit in front of its eyes. After all the chains were released, the mummy was free, but could be damaged normally and destroyed. I love encounters where the players have to do something to make the monster more powerful in order to destroy it, because it's this give and take of, well, we know that we're gonna be in more trouble, but we have to do it to win. I enjoyed the one I made, though it might be biased. Owlbear escaped from a circus during a large festival. It was just upset, so I gave it a legendary action for free disengage, and like 20 foot of fly, really like glide, cause I don't think owlbears fly, lol, that it uses when 2 or more people are next to it. I had it attack whatever was closest, including NPC commoners. I like it because I gave it 3 possible ways to win. 1, kill it, level 2, party of 2 though. 2, keep it busy for 3 rounds while the circus people catch up, or 3, successful animal handling checks. My party tried to calm it down, but failed the second check, at which time the barbarian attacked it. Give it disadvantage or it would slaughter a bunch of commoners. Somehow nobody died but the owlbear, much to the circus people's anger. I love how they had different ways to handle the owlbear though, instead of just making it, oh, you have to kill it. Like you could try to make the circus people happy and save it and get it back, or you could just get it over with. I mean, I like combats and encounters where there's multiple paths. I was running a modified version of Ghosts of Saltmarsh with more open ocean travel, and I put an abandoned underwater temple with the bell tower sticking above sea level as an entry point. It was a sea hag's lair. It was pretty fun to run. I put in a lever puzzle to drain the water from the temple, but my player bypassed it and had to fight underwater. I really like the aesthetic of this. There's the bell tower sticking out. This is totally going in my pirate campaign, thank you. I made a press your luck loot mechanic. A treasure room has like 5 areas of treasure and labeled A, B, C, D, and E. There are piles of loot cards that are also labeled A through E. At the start, I make all players roll initiative and I roll a D4 and display the number. Each round, that D4 number counts down. If a player is at a treasure pile, they can use their bonus action to flip a card over from the top of their treasure pile deck, or dig through the flipped cards and put the card they want at the top of the flipped deck. As an action, a player can pull a card from the top of the deck and keep it, or take a card from the top of the flipped deck. So basically, you just flip through the cards and you can either take the top discarded or the top random one. All cards don't have labels, but they just show pictures of the items. Gold, silver, platinum, a bag with something in it, a sword for example. Some items are cheap, mundane items, and some are magical. When the D4 hits 0, I roll a D6 and flood the room with that many baddies. These monsters are easy to kill, but hit like a truck. As soon as they come in, I roll another D4 before I send in the next wave. The players see the number count down. The players will loot the room until they run out of resources or are low on health. So it's a mad dash to grab what they can before they all die. I've run it multiple times and players loved it each time. I might have to do that. Like if you're in a treasure hoard kind of scenario, you can have a lot of loot options and let them pick through what they want, but let them know the longer you take to find what you want here and the more you grab, the harder it's gonna be to escape. One I haven't used yet, but I'm pretty proud of. An adult or ancient gem dragon is unwilling to part with an artifact grade magic item from its hoard, which is necessary for defeating the BBEG's plans. This particular dragon is a bit paranoid, and in this case rightfully so. The party either has to defeat the dragon and its wards/minions, the most dangerous path, find the magic item in its hoard, release any traps and wards protecting it, and flee with it, the path requiring the most skill, find a way to convince the dragon to grant them the artifact, likely by a trade weighted in the dragon's favor in deed, expense, and trade. The most costly path, well, assuming they aren't dead from killing the dragon. The dragon itself has wards protecting it from harm in its lair. In this case, 3 magic crystals that act like minor mythals, one that recharges its legendary resistances, that's cool, one that empowers its offensive abilities, and one that heals it. So killing the dragon would most likely require getting it to leave. A combination of plans, say one team distracting and getting the dragon to leave while the other tries to steal it, may have more success. I like having the core functions of the dragon's powers come directly from its lair and these monoliths, or the crystals. Because you could absolutely have, like, yeah, it has all these cool legendary actions or resistances or whatever, but if you destroy that crystal, it loses that and the combat gets a little easier. Alright, I recently did a Christmas special for one of my own campaigns, and in it the party was visiting a winter festival. Through some tricky words, they agreed to go into a tent for the show of a lifetime. The person out front was actually a fae, and the party, alongside about 30 NPCs, had been tricked into the fae's icy domain. Everyone that entered lost all magical abilities, spells, etc. Most class and race features didn't work, and magic items wouldn't function. However, this was all the setup for a big game. The encounter was actually a D&D Battle Royale. The Fae Trickster told everyone that, if they died, they'd be sent back to the tent unharmed. However, they would only get their magic back if they agreed to do a favor for the Fae. The single winner would get their magic back as well as an IOU from the powerful Fae. What made it interesting is that when you killed someone in the arena, they dropped small blue motes of light called warmth. You could collect warmth and spend them to regain spell slots, activate abilities or magic items, etc. And when you killed someone who had warmth remaining, they dropped it all. So the combat started with a bunch of small fights, mostly of people swinging swords or fists slowly, but ended with all the spellcasters whizzing magic without any regard for spell slots, and the fighters were getting an insane amount of damage out. My party, however, decided to pull a Hunger Games and band together when they were the last ones remaining. They marched up the icy pillar to the Fae, then fought him on the wager of regaining all their magic or none of their magic. And those were some of the most creative combats and encounters off of Reddit. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go into the comments and tell me what awesome combats or encounters you've been in, and your story might get featured in a future video. This has been Zill at the Twisted Pint Tavern. Last call's in about half an hour, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.